Welcome to Confessions by Banana Ketchup. Something was wrong with my childhood home. I want to start off by saying I really don't consider myself a heavy believer in the paranormal. I feel that a lot of situations can be explained by logic, science. There are some things that simply cannot be explained though. There were 3 incidents in my childhood home that I still cannot explain to this day. If someone has experienced anything similar, feel free to give me insight. When I was younger, maybe 10 or 11, we lived in a very large old Victorian house. The house had 5 floors, very long hallway on each floor, and old wooden flooring. There were always creepy sounds at night and weird power outages, but that can be attributed to the age of the house. We liked the house a lot. The first incident happened in the attic. We called it the attic, but in reality it had a family room, a bathroom, a kitchen and a guest room. The 3rd floor stairs have a landing that leads to the attic door, which takes you up a flight of stairs, and you come up to a long hallway on your left that leads you to the family room at the end of the hall, and a large window on your right that the moonlight comes through. When you enter the family room, there's a spiral staircase that takes you to the top floor, which is just a dark small room that we never used except for storage. One night, I was playing with my toys on the stairs of the 3rd floor, right next to the door that leads to the attic. We had a cat at the time. As I was playing, I heard scratching in the attic. Not wanting to get in trouble for her destroying a couch, I'm the one who asked for the cat. I opened the attic door and walked up the stairs to go find her. As soon as I reached the top of the stairs and turned down the long hallway, the scratching stopped and the power to the house went out. I was in total darkness. I put my back against the window and slid down and stared down the long hallway, terrified and waiting for the power to come on. As I slid down, I heard a very slow thump thump. The sound of someone walking down the spiral staircase. The sound is unmistakable because the steps are metal. The sound continued, right behind the family room door. I heard each step. The steps stopped. The family room door moved slightly, and immediately I felt this rush come over me. I got so cold and my heart started beating in such a way I felt it actually moved my chest. After a few seconds, the door bolted open and something started sprinting down the hallway at me. I couldn't see a thing, but I felt the movement. That feeling you get when something is near you. I remember that was the first time I ever felt like prey. My heart was in my throat, but I screamed as loud as I could, and as soon as it got close to me, the rush went away and the cold left my body. My parents ran up the stairs, and after I told them what happened, they went to the breaker box and came up and looked all around and found no one. Nothing. But the handle on the family room door was broken, and the window behind me was cracked. It's possible I cracked it when I put my back to it to slide down, but it was cracked at a height I couldn't reach with my body at the time. The basement was the worst part of the house. It was one of those dreary, unfurnished concrete floor basements. It was as large as any first floor of a house. I mean truly massive. When you open the door, the short stairs look like you're going into a cellar, and when you come down the stairs, you have to walk forward for several steps in the dark to find the string of light and pull it. Even then, the light only illuminates the immediate area, not the rest of the basement. There are several lights like this the further you go, each one with a string to pull. To the left is the rest of the basement. It goes all the way back, and then there's a cove tucked to the left where the dogs sleep. It's out of the line of sight. Since there's a small window in the cove, it casts this bluish-black light in the morning and nights from the moon. One early morning, around 5 a.m., I had to go feed the dogs since my dad was out of town. I hated when it was my turn because the basement always gave me terrible feelings. I would always call the dogs to meet me at the stairs so I didn't have to walk down the stairs in the dark alone. I called for them, waited, and called again. They didn't come, and I heard no sound. I walked down the stairs in the dark and held my hand out to find the string to pull the light. As I reached for the light, I saw movement at the end of the basement near the cove and my breath got caught in my chest. I pulled the light fast and the bulb popped with a quick burst of light. In that moment, I saw a man standing at the end of the basement. He didn't disappear like in the movies though, and I wish he had. In the dark, with a sliver of moonlight from the cove window, I could still see him standing there with his back to me. He didn't move at all, and his head was cocked to the left in such an unnatural way, at an angle where his neck had to be broken. He was probably 40 feet away from me. As I stood there, trying to force a scream through my throat that felt like it was locked up, I couldn't look away. And in those few seconds I stared, I saw it was less of a man and more of a thing. It had white translucent skin and looked gangly. I pissed myself standing up. I lost all control. I think the pee snapped me out of it because as I felt the warmth on my leg, I started backing away. And as I backed away, it sprinted to the left towards the cove where the dogs were, and I ran upstairs. Chipped my tooth falling into the stairs. Still chipped to this day. I slammed the door shut and locked the latch. I called my mom down and we called the dogs from the top of the stairs. No response. We went down there and both dogs were huddled together in the corner of the cove, and it took 5 minutes to get them to leave the corner and come upstairs with us. We had to pull them apart and walk them with us holding their collars. The last one is short and simple, but probably the worst experience I had in that house. In that same basement, there is a furnace room to the left of the stairs, about 15 feet away from the stairs. It is dark, cramped, and has all kinds of luggage and extra supplies in it. The day before Thanksgiving, we were preparing for family to arrive. My mother sent me to get the Thanksgiving table decor or whatever it's called. As I walked down the stairs, I saw the furnace room door was cracked. I stopped dead in my tracks. That door was never left open. We were always told to close it so the dogs don't go in it. Really, my parents made a big deal about it. I stayed on the stairs and stared at the door. I felt the hair on my neck rise and my fists clench out of instinct. As I stare, in the crack of the door, I see a half a smile and one eye. The smile was so close to being human, but so far, I can't explain it. It was as though something has been observing humans to mimic them, but couldn't get its face just right. As I ran up the stairs, I heard the creak of the furnace door opening further, slammed and locked the door, and that was the last time I ever went in the basement. From that point on, my parents never made me go back in the basement again and delegated my basement chores to my siblings. Even though I know that they didn't believe me, it was a nice gesture that I was thankful for. Since we moved, I have never experienced anything abnormal in our houses. I'm 26 now. I have never had any issue with the paranormal since then. I like to rationalize by telling myself it was fear and my brain playing tricks on me, but part of me knows it wasn't. Edit. For people asking about the previous neighbor, I removed the comment explaining that house's history due to several messages from people who were offended. That's my fault. Again, I really don't think it was anything to do with my experiences. It wasn't my house those things happened at, and it was almost 50 years before we moved in. Thank you, Tigre3, the author. The Night Walker. I'm 23 years old. The sound of someone walking over dry leaves is audible for the past 3 days. Night, after 12 AM, I'm hearing someone walking by the side of the window. Let me explain. I sleep late at night, usually around 2 AM. I was doing the usual things, writing a journal on my laptop, though I was not wearing earphones at the time. I live in an independent house. There's a huge window setup with 4 windows at the west face of my house. Outside the windows were many trees that shed leaves all year round, so whenever someone walks in that space, we could hear the crisp sound of cracking leaves. I also have a dog and a cat. When the dog walks over there, frequent footsteps could be heard. He usually runs there. The cat doesn't make a sound while walking there, if so only feeble cracks could be heard. The sound I heard that day was very clean and crisp. It was slow and steady sounds of a person walking behind the window. Since the room is lit, nothing will be visible behind the translucent window. It will be dark. In the first place, I ignored the sound as I thought my dog was walking over there. Later, after 5 minutes, the sound was abnormal, like someone is purposefully walking over the dry leaves. I took a neck knife and flashlight, grabbed the keys, and opened the door facing north. My dog was right in front of the gate. Once I opened the gate, the sound was no longer audible. I went there, behind the window, to see what was creating the sound. There was nothing. No movement could be observed. I checked the entire property around the house. Nothing significant could be found. I'm confused. Logically speaking, if someone is walking there, my dog would have noticed and would have confronted him. The dog is Doberman. He's brave and has no fear for strangers. So I ruled out the possibility that a person is walking over there. Even if that is a person, what purpose would he find walking in pitch dark, that too at 12 AM? I'm gonna observe the continuity and also planning to set up a camera there. Not only because of the creepy sounds, also it would guarantee additional safety. Have anyone heard abnormal sounds of someone, something walking outside the house during midnight? Please do share in the comments. Thank you, Killer Penny 0610, the author. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you already haven't, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any new episodes. See you again soon, and until then, please be safe.